Christchurch, New Zealand, a city known for its beauty, its peaceful atmosphere, a sense of tranquility. This serene facade hid a dark undercurrent. A chilling tale was about to unfold, one that would forever stain the city's history. In the heart of this unsuspecting city, a nightmare was brewing. A story of unimaginable cruelty was about to come to light. Aranui, a quiet suburb of Christchurch, was the epicenter of this tragedy. Known for its tight-knit community, it was a place where people felt safe. Children played in the streets. Neighbours knew each other by name. Life moved at a slower pace. But this tranquility was about to be shattered. The year was 2008, a time when the world seemed a little brighter, a little less complicated. But in the shadows, evil lurked, a darkness that would soon consume the lives of two innocent women. Their stories would become intertwined in the most horrific way imaginable. A tragedy that would leave an indelible mark on the soul of Christchurch. Tisha Lowry, a vibrant young woman of 28, was the epitome of joy. Her infectious smile could light up a room. She had a contagious laugh and a zest for life that was impossible to ignore. Tisha was a beloved daughter, a cherished sister, and a loyal friend. Her life was a tapestry of love, laughter, and dreams yet to be fulfilled. Tisha had a bright future ahead of her. She had aspirations, goals, and a whole lot of living to do. She was a valued member of the Aranui community. Her absence would leave a void felt by many. But fate, it seemed, had other plans, plans that would plunge her loved ones into a nightmare. On September 25th, 2008, Tisha Lowry vanished. She simply disappeared, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions. The days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, but there was no sign of Tisha. Hope began to dwindle, replaced by a gnawing fear that something terrible had happened. The news of Tisha's disappearance spread through Aranui like wildfire. The community, known for its unity and spirit, was in shock. A pall of fear and uncertainty descended upon the once peaceful suburb. The unthinkable had happened. One of their own had vanished without a trace. Frantic searches were organized. Flyers with Tisha's picture were plastered on every street corner, every lamppost, every shop window. Neighbours gathered, sharing what little information they had, desperately clinging to hope. The police launched an investigation, but leads were scarce. Days turned into sleepless nights for Tisha's family. The agony of not knowing was unbearable. The constant worry gnawed at their hearts. Every phone call, every knock on the door brought a flicker of hope, only to be dashed by disappointment. The search for Tisha continued, but as time went on, the chances of finding her safe dwindled. Almost a year passed, and the case of Tisha Lowry's disappearance remained a mystery. Hope was fading fast. The community of Aranui was shrouded in grief and despair. Then, on a fateful day in September 2009, a chilling discovery rocked the suburb to its core. A discovery that would expose the dark underbelly of their quiet community. The police, acting on a tip-off, descended upon a nondescript house on Wainoni Road. The house looked ordinary, almost unremarkable. But behind its walls, a horrifying secret was hidden. In the basement of that house, the police unearthed the remains of not one but two women. One of them was Tisha Lowry. The discovery sent shockwaves through Aranui. The house on Wainoni Road became synonymous with horror. It was a stark reminder that evil could lurk in the most unexpected places. The community was left reeling, struggling to come to terms with the enormity of the tragedy. The discovery marked a turning point in the investigation, but it also opened a Pandora's box of questions and fear. The discovery of Tisha Lowry's remains, along with those of another missing woman, sent shockwaves through Aranui. The once peaceful community was now grappling with the horrifying reality of a double murder. Fear and disbelief hung heavy in the air, a stark contrast to the tranquility that once defined the suburb. Neighbours who once exchanged friendly greetings now eyed each other with suspicion. The streets, once filled with the laughter of children, were eerily quiet. The community that had come together in hope during the search for Tisha was now united in grief and terror. The shared sense of security that had been a source of pride for Aranui was shattered. The realization that a killer had walked among them, blending in with their everyday lives, was a chilling thought that sent shivers down the spines of residents. The double murder had cast a long shadow over Aranui, leaving its residents grappling with a potent mix of emotions. Grief for the victims, anger towards the perpetrator, and a pervasive fear that lingered long after the headlines faded. The discovery of the bodies shifted the investigation into high gear. The police, now facing a double homicide, worked tirelessly, determined to bring the perpetrator to justice. The house on Wainoni Road became a crime scene, swarming with forensic teams, meticulously combing for clues. Every inch of the property was scrutinised, every piece of evidence carefully catalogued. The investigators interviewed residents, hoping to uncover any detail, no matter how small, that could lead them to the killer. The pressure was immense, the weight of the investigation heavy on their shoulders. The police appealed to the public for information, urging anyone who had seen anything unusual to come forward. They released details about the victims, hoping to jog someone's memory. The investigation was complex, a puzzle with missing pieces, and the detectives were determined to assemble it. As the investigation progressed, the community held its breath, clinging to the hope that justice would be served, that the person responsible for these heinous crimes would be caught. For Tisha Lowry's family, the discovery of her remains brought a tragic end to a year of agonizing uncertainty. The hope that had sustained them, however faint, was extinguished, replaced by a profound and all-consuming grief. Through tears and heartbreak, Tisha's mother made a public plea for information. She spoke of her daughter's infectious laugh, her kind heart, and her zest for life. She begged anyone with information, no matter how insignificant it might seem, to come forward and help bring her daughter's killer to justice. Her words, raw with emotion, resonated with the community. The image of her grief-stricken face served as a stark reminder of the human cost of this tragedy. The community, already reeling from the shock of the murders, was united in their support for Tisha's family and their shared desire for justice. The pain of losing a child is immeasurable, and for Tisha's family, that pain was compounded by the horrific circumstances of her death. Yet even in their grief, they found the strength to appeal for help, their love for Tisha fueling their determination to see justice served. Section 4. False Hope and Dead Ends. The investigation drags on. Weeks turned into months, and the investigation into the Wainoni Road murders continued. Despite the initial flurry of activity, leads were scarce, and the case grew cold. The police chased every lead, every whisper, every rumor, but each one seemed to lead to a dead end. The community, initially hopeful for a swift resolution, grew impatient. The slow pace of the investigation fueled their anxiety. Rumors and speculation filled the void left by concrete information. The lack of answers only deepened the mystery surrounding the murders, amplifying the fear that had gripped Aranui. The families of the victims endured the excruciating wait for answers, their grief compounded by the lack of closure. The slow grind of the justice system offered little solace as they grappled with the unbearable loss of their loved ones. The investigation had hit a wall, but the police remained steadfast in their commitment to finding the killer. They knew that somewhere out there, someone held the missing piece of the puzzle, the crucial bit of information that would crack the case wide open. Section 5. A glimmer in the darkness. A tip-off offers hope. Just when it seemed like the investigation into the Wainoni Road murders had reached an impasse, a glimmer of hope emerged from an unexpected source. A tip-off from an anonymous caller provided the police with a new lead, a potential break in the case that had baffled them for months. The caller, claiming to have vital information about the murders, pointed the finger at a man named Jason Somerville. The name sent a chill down the spines of the investigators. Somerville, a seemingly ordinary resident of Aranui, had been on the periphery of the investigation, but nothing in his background had raised any red flags. The tip-off, though anonymous, was detailed and specific, providing enough information to warrant a closer look at Somerville. The police, cautious but optimistic, decided to pursue this new lead, hoping it would lead them to the truth behind the Wainoni Road murders. The tip-off injected a much-needed dose of hope into the investigation. For the families of the victims, it offered a glimmer of light in the darkness, a chance that justice might finally be served. The community, weary from months of uncertainty, held its breath, daring to hope that the end of this nightmare was in sight. Section 1. Shifting focus. The investigation zeroes in. The anonymous tip-off, implicating Jason Somerville in the Wainoni Road murders, sent ripples through the investigation. The police, armed with this new information, shifted their focus, turning their attention to a man who had, until then, been a ghost on the periphery of the case. Somerville, a seemingly ordinary resident of Aranui, had aroused little suspicion in the initial stages of the investigation. He had no known connection to the victims, no criminal record, and no outward signs of the darkness that the tip-off suggested lurked beneath his unremarkable facade. The police, cautious but determined, initiated surveillance on Somerville, their eyes and ears trained on his every move. They delved into his background, piecing together his past, searching for any connection, any thread that could tie him to the murders. The investigation, once stalled, was infused with a renewed sense of urgency. The possibility of finally having a suspect, a tangible target, fueled the detectives' determination to uncover the truth, no matter how deeply it might be buried. Section 2. A web of deceit, unravelling Jason Somerville's past. As the investigation into Jason Somerville intensified, a disturbing picture began to emerge, one that contradicted his carefully cultivated facade of normalcy. Interviews with neighbours, acquaintances and former colleagues revealed a darker side to Somerville, a pattern of manipulation, control and a chilling capacity for violence. Stories surfaced of Somerville's controlling behaviour towards women, his explosive temper, and a history of petty theft and fraud. The man who presented himself as a quiet, unassuming member of the community was, in reality, a master manipulator, skilled at concealing his true nature behind a veil of normalcy. The police discovered that Somerville had a history of preying on vulnerable women, using charm and false promises to lure them into relationships that quickly spiraled into cycles of control and abuse. The more they uncovered, the more convinced they became that they were dealing with a dangerous predator, a wolf in sheep's clothing. The investigation, initially focused on finding a connection between Somerville and the victims, was now shifting towards building a case that exposed his true nature, revealing the monster hiding beneath the mask of ordinariness. Section 3. Under the microscope, the scrutiny intensifies. With each passing day, the net around Jason Somerville tightened. The police, armed with a growing body of evidence, increased the pressure, their investigation becoming an omnipresent force in Somerville's life, casting a long shadow over his carefully constructed world of deception. Surveillance teams followed his every move, documenting his daily routines, his interactions, his attempts to maintain a facade of normalcy. Every phone call was monitored, every email scrutinized, every visit from a friend or acquaintance logged and analyzed. The police conducted searches of Somerville's home and workplace, their presence a constant reminder that he was the prime suspect in a double homicide investigation. The evidence they gathered, though circumstantial, painted a damning picture, linking him to the victims and the crime scene. Somerville, once a seemingly insignificant figure in the community, was now the center of attention, his life dissected, his secrets exposed, as the police meticulously built their case, their determination to bring him to justice unwavering. Section 4. A crack in the facade, Somerville's demeanor shifts. As the investigation into the Wenonee Road murders progressed, Jason Somerville's carefully crafted mask of normalcy began to slip. The pressure of being the prime suspect, the constant surveillance, the scrutiny of his every move took its toll, revealing glimpses of the darkness that lurked beneath the surface. His demeanor, once calm and collected, became increasingly erratic. He grew agitated easily, lashing out at reporters, his neighbors, even strangers on the street. His carefully constructed facade of innocence was crumbling, revealing glimpses of the volatile temper and controlling behavior that had become hallmarks of his past relationships. The police, observing these subtle shifts in Somerville's behavior, interpreted them as signs of guilt, cracks in the carefully constructed wall of denial he had erected around himself. The more they observed him, the more convinced they became that they were dealing with a man on the verge of breaking, his carefully crafted facade crumbling under the weight of his own secrets. The investigation, once a distant threat, was now a tangible presence in Somerville's life, a constant reminder that his carefully constructed world of deception was on the verge of collapsing, exposing him for the monster he truly was. The investigation into the Wenonee Road murders reached a critical juncture as the police, armed with a mountain of evidence, prepared to confront Jason Somerville. Forensic analysis of the crime scene had yielded crucial DNA evidence, linking him directly to the murders of Tisha Lowry and Rebecca Chamberlain. The evidence, once circumstantial, was now irrefutable, painting a gruesome picture of Somerville's crimes. The DNA evidence, combined with witness testimonies, his history of violence towards women, and his increasingly erratic behavior, formed a damning indictment, leaving no doubt in the minds of the investigators. Jason Somerville was the monster they had been hunting. With a warrant in hand, the police descended upon Somerville's residence, their faces grim, their resolve unshakable. The game of cat and mouse was over. The time for justice had arrived. As the officers surrounded his house, their presence signaled the end of Somerville's reign of terror, the beginning of a long and arduous journey towards justice for the victims and their grieving families. The arrest of Jason Somerville sent shockwaves through Aranui, a collective sigh of relief sweeping through the community that had lived in fear for so long. But the relief was tinged with a profound sense of sadness. a stark reminder of the two lives tragically cut short, their stories forever intertwined with the horrors of the Wainoni Road murders. The arrest of Jason Somerville marked the beginning of a new chapter in the Wainoni Road murders. The case, which had gripped the nation, now moved to the courtroom, where justice would be sought for Tisha Lowry and Rebecca Chamberlain. The trial of Jason Somerville became a focal point for a nation grappling with the horrific details of the crimes and the implications for its own sense of security. The prosecution, armed with a compelling case built on forensic evidence, witness testimonies, and Somerville's own chilling confessions, presented a picture of a cold, calculating killer who had preyed on vulnerable women, subjecting them to unimaginable horrors before taking their lives. They argued for the harshest possible punishment, seeking to hold Somerville accountable for the pain and suffering he had inflicted. Somerville's defense team, faced with the daunting task of defending a man accused of such heinous crimes, focused on mitigating his culpability. They argued that Somerville's actions were the result of a troubled past, painting him as a product of a dysfunctional upbringing and a history of mental health issues. The courtroom became a battleground of narratives, each side vying to control the narrative, to sway the jury, to determine the fate of Jason Somerville, and, in many ways, to offer a sense of closure to a nation still reeling from the horrors of the Wainoni Road murders. As the trial unfolded, the courtroom became a stage for chilling revelations. The prosecution, determined to expose the true extent of Somerville's crimes, presented a harrowing account of the events leading up to the murders of Tisha Lowry and Rebecca Chamberlain. Somerville's confessions, recorded during police interrogations, sent chills down the spines of those present in the courtroom. In a cold, detached voice, he detailed his crimes, describing how he had lured his victims to his home, the torture he had inflicted upon them, and the calculated manner in which he had disposed of their bodies. The gruesome details, recounted in clinical detail, painted a picture of a man devoid of remorse, a predator who had derived pleasure from the suffering of his victims. The courtroom, usually a place of formality and procedure, was transformed into a space of shared horror, the weight of Somerville's crimes pressing down on everyone present. The revelations during the trial, though difficult to stomach, served as a stark reminder of the capacity for evil that exists within seemingly ordinary individuals. The case, already a national tragedy, took on an even darker hue as the true depths of Somerville's depravity were revealed. Section 3. A Nation in Shock. The trial's impact on New Zealand. The trial of Jason Somerville transcended the confines of the courtroom, its impact reverberating throughout New Zealand. The case, with its gruesome details and the chilling portrait it painted of a seemingly ordinary man turned monster, shook the nation to its core, forcing it to confront uncomfortable truths about its own vulnerability. New Zealand, a nation known for its peaceful nature and strong sense of community, found itself grappling with the realization that such horrors could occur within its own borders. The case sparked a national conversation about violence against women, the adequacy of law enforcement, and the need for greater vigilance within communities. The trial dominated headlines, talk shows, and dinner table conversations. The nation was captivated, horrified, and united in its desire to see justice served. The case, though tragic, served as a catalyst for introspection, prompting New Zealand to examine its own values, its systems, and its responsibility to protect its most vulnerable citizens. The trial of Jason Somerville was a defining moment in New Zealand's history, a stark reminder that even in the most idyllic of settings, darkness can lurk, and that the pursuit of justice, though painful, is a necessary step in the healing process. Section 4, Echoes of Trauma Domestic Violence, takes centre stage. The trial of Jason Somerville brought the issue of domestic violence into sharp focus in New Zealand. As the details of Somerville's crimes unfolded, it became clear that his pattern of behaviour, his need for control, and his history of violence towards women were red flags that had been ignored or dismissed. Support organisations reported a surge in calls from women trapped in abusive relationships, seeking help and advice. The trial had given a voice to the voiceless, empowering women to speak out against their abusers and seek the support they needed to break free from the cycle of violence. The government, responding to the public outcry and the urgent need for action, pledged to increase funding for domestic violence shelters, provide better training for law enforcement officials, and implement educational programs in schools to raise awareness about healthy relationships. The trial of Jason Somerville, though tragic, served as a wake-up call for New Zealand, a stark reminder that domestic violence is a pervasive issue that demands attention, resources, and a collective effort to create a safer society for all. Section 5, A Call for Vigilance, the Quest for Community Safety. In the wake of the Wainoni Road murders and the trial of Jason Somerville, a profound sense of unease settled over Aranui, a community grappling with the aftermath of unimaginable violence. The streets, once considered safe havens, now carried an undercurrent of fear, a reminder that even in the most seemingly idyllic of settings, darkness could lurk. The community, determined to reclaim their sense of security and honour the memory of the victims, organised neighbourhood watch programmes, their vigilance fuelled by a shared commitment to prevent such tragedies from happening again. They vowed to look out for one another, to report suspicious activity, and to create a network of support that would leave no one vulnerable. The trial had exposed vulnerabilities, cracks in the fabric of their community that had allowed such horrors to occur. But it had also ignited a spirit of resilience, a determination to learn from the past and work towards a safer future. The legacy of the Wainoni Road murders extended far beyond the courtroom. It served as a stark reminder that community safety is a shared responsibility, a collective effort that requires vigilance, compassion, and an unwavering commitment to protecting the most vulnerable members of society. The guilty verdict in the Jason Somerville trial brought a sense of closure to the legal proceedings, but for the community of Aranui, the journey of healing was far from over. The shadow of the Wainoni Road murders lingered, a constant reminder of the darkness that had visited their once peaceful suburb. The pain of loss, raw and palpable, bound the community together in a shared grief. In the aftermath of the trial, Aranui turned inward, seeking solace in shared memories and the comfort of community. Neighbours, once strangers, now united by tragedy, offered support to one another, their shared grief a testament to the enduring bonds forged in the face of adversity. Candlelight vigils illuminated the streets of Aranui, flickering flames, casting dancing shadows on the faces of those gathered to remember Tisha Lowry and Rebecca Chamberlain. The silence, broken only by sobs and shared memories, spoke volumes about the depth of their loss. The community, wounded but not broken, drew strength from their shared grief, finding solace in their collective determination to honour the memory of the victims. The outpouring of support extended beyond words. Residents, their hearts heavy with empathy, rallied around the families of the victims, offering practical help, meals, childcare, and a shoulder to cry on. The community, bound by tragedy, discovered an unwavering reservoir of compassion within themselves, their shared grief a catalyst for acts of kindness and support. Aranui transformed its grief into action, ensuring the memories of Tisha Lowry and Rebecca Chamberlain would forever be etched into the fabric of the community. Memorials, both permanent and ephemeral, sprung up throughout the suburb, serving as poignant reminders of the lives lost and the importance of vigilance. A serene garden, a place once overgrown and neglected, was transformed into a memorial for the victims. Residents, their hands calloused but their hearts filled with purpose, worked tirelessly to create a space of peace and reflection. Trees were planted, benches installed, and a stone monument engraved with the names of Tisha and Rebecca stood as a solemn tribute to their memory. The memorial garden became a focal point for the community's grief, a place where tears could be shed openly, where memories could be shared, and where the healing process could begin. Children, their innocence untouched by the darkness that had visited their community, left drawings and messages of love, their small gestures a testament to the enduring power of hope and remembrance. Each year, on the anniversary of the discovery of the bodies, the community gathered in the memorial garden, their presence a powerful reminder that even in the face of unspeakable tragedy, the human spirit endures. The whispers of remembrance carried on the wind served as a solemn promise to never forget, to honor the memory of the victims by striving to create a safer, more compassionate world. The tragedy of the Wainoni road murders left an indelible mark on the soul of Aranui, prompting a profound period of reflection and a collective determination to learn from the past. The community, forever changed by the events that had unfolded, sought to honor the memory of the victims by embracing change and advocating for a safer future. The trial had exposed systemic failures, a lack of awareness surrounding domestic violence, and a need for greater vigilance within the community. Aranui responded with a resounding call for action, demanding greater resources for domestic violence prevention, support for victims, and education programs to raise awareness about the often hidden signs of abuse. Community leaders, recognizing the need for collective action, organized workshops and training sessions on recognizing the signs of domestic violence, providing bystander intervention techniques, and empowering individuals to speak out against abuse. Schools implemented curriculum changes incorporating lessons on healthy relationships, conflict resolution, and the importance of seeking help when needed. The legacy of Tisha Lowry and Rebecca Chamberlain extended far beyond the confines of Aranui. Their stories, tragic and heartbreaking, served as a catalyst for change throughout New Zealand, prompting a national conversation about domestic violence, community responsibility, and the importance of creating a society where everyone feels safe and supported. Section 4, From Tragedy to Transformation, Strengthening the Safety Net. The Wainoni road murders served as a wake-up call for New Zealand, exposing the vulnerabilities in its support systems for victims of domestic violence. The national outcry, fueled by the harrowing details of the case, prompted a wave of reforms aimed at strengthening the safety net and preventing future tragedies. Funding for domestic violence shelters, long inadequate to meet the demand, was significantly increased, allowing for the establishment of new facilities and the expansion of existing ones. These shelters provided a vital lifeline for victims fleeing abuse, offering not only physical safety but also counselling, legal aid and support in rebuilding their lives. Recognizing that law enforcement plays a crucial role in responding to domestic violence, police departments across New Zealand implemented specialized training programs for officers. These programs focused on recognizing the dynamics of domestic abuse, conducting thorough investigations, and providing sensitive and effective support to victims. The government, responding to the public's demand for action, enacted stricter laws against domestic violence, increasing penalties for offenders and providing greater protection for victims. These legislative changes, though only part of the solution, sent a clear message that violence within the home would not be tolerated. Section 5. A City Heals Christchurch Embraces Change. In the years following the Wainoni Road murders, Christchurch, still reeling from the collective trauma, embarked on a long and arduous journey of healing. The tragedy, though impossible to erase from the city's memory, became a catalyst for positive change, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. The community of Aranui, forever marked by the tragedy, emerged stronger, its bonds forged in the crucible of shared grief. The Memorial Garden, a place of quiet reflection, stood as a testament to the enduring power of remembrance and the community's determination to honour the memory of the victims by working towards a safer future. The legacy of the Wainoni Road murders extended far beyond the borders of Christchurch. The case sparked a national conversation about domestic violence, prompting changes in laws, policies and attitudes. It served as a stark reminder that even in a country known for its peace and tranquility, darkness can lurk, and that the pursuit of justice, though painful, is a necessary step in the healing process. Christchurch, a city rebuilt from the rubble of natural disasters, demonstrated its resilience once more, this time in the face of human cruelty. The tragedy, though a painful chapter in the city's history, became a catalyst for positive change, a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit to find hope, healing, and a path towards a brighter future. Scars of tragedy. Remembering the victims. The Christchurch House of Horrors stands as a chilling testament to the capacity for human cruelty that can lurk beneath the surface of any community. The names Tisha Lowry and Rebecca Chamberlain are forever etched in the annals of New Zealand's history, tragic reminders of the human cost of violence and indifference. The families of the victims, forever marked by the loss of their loved ones, continue to navigate the complex landscape of grief and healing. Their strength in the face of unimaginable pain stands as a testament to the enduring power of love and the importance of honouring the memory of those lost by advocating for a safer future. The community of Aranui, forever bound by the shared experience of this tragedy, bears the invisible scars of the past. The tranquil streets, once a source of comfort and security, now serve as a constant reminder of the darkness that visited their doorstep. Yet, even amidst the pain and the lingering sense of loss, the spirit of Aranui endures. The community, forged in the crucible of tragedy, has emerged with a heightened awareness of the importance of vigilance, compassion, and a shared commitment to looking out for one another. A nation transformed, the enduring impact. The Christchurch House of Horrors case transcended the confines of a single community, its impact reverberating throughout New Zealand. The nation, shaken to its core by the gruesome details of the crimes and the realization that such horrors could occur within its own borders, embarked on a journey of introspection and reform. The case served as a catalyst for a national conversation about domestic violence, prompting a wave of reforms aimed at strengthening the safety net for victims and holding perpetrators accountable. Lawmakers, responding to the public outcry, enacted stricter laws against domestic violence, increased funding for support services, and implemented educational programs to raise awareness about the issue. The trial of Jason Somerville, broadcast into homes across the country, brought the often hidden issue of domestic violence into sharp focus. The harrowing details of the case, the chilling confessions, and the expert testimonies shattered the silence surrounding this pervasive problem, prompting a national reckoning and a collective determination to do better. The legacy of the Christchurch House of Horrors case is a complex one, marked by both profound sadness and a glimmer of hope. The tragedy, though a painful chapter in New Zealand's history, served as a catalyst for positive change, a testament to the power of a nation to confront its demons and strive for a brighter future. Threads of hope finding light in darkness. Even in the darkest of times, the human spirit possesses an extraordinary capacity for resilience and hope. In the aftermath of the Christchurch House of Horrors case, amidst the grief and the lingering sense of loss, threads of hope emerged, woven into the fabric of the community and the nation. The families of the victims, though forever scarred by their loss, channeled their pain into advocacy, working tirelessly to ensure that their loved ones' legacies would live on through efforts to prevent future tragedies. Their courage and determination served as a beacon of hope for others grappling with loss and injustice. The community of Aranui, drawing strength from their shared grief, transformed their pain into action, implementing initiatives to support victims of domestic violence, raise awareness, and foster a culture of vigilance and support. Their efforts, a testament to the power of collective action, offered hope that, even in the wake of tragedy, healing and positive change are possible. The Christchurch House of Horrors case, though a stark reminder of the capacity for human cruelty, also illuminated the extraordinary capacity for compassion, resilience, and the unwavering pursuit of justice that resides within the human spirit. Vigilance and voice, a legacy of change. The Christchurch House of Horrors case serves as a chilling reminder that evil can flourish in the shadows, often hidden in plain sight. It underscores the importance of vigilance within our communities, the need to recognize the warning signs of domestic violence, and the responsibility to speak out against abuse, to be a voice for the voiceless. The legacy of Tisha Lowry and Rebecca Chamberlain lives on in the hearts of those who loved them and in the countless lives touched by their stories. Their tragic deaths sparked a movement for change, a collective determination to ensure that such horrors would never be repeated. The fight against domestic violence is far from over. It requires ongoing vigilance, education, and a commitment to creating a society where everyone feels safe, respected, and empowered to speak out against abuse. By honouring the memory of the victims and continuing the fight for justice, we can create a world where such tragedies are relegated to the history books, a world where all individuals are free from the threat of violence and abuse. The Christchurch House of Horrors case, though a dark chapter in New Zealand's history, also serves as a powerful reminder of the transformative power of collective action, the resilience of the human spirit, and the importance of never giving up on the pursuit of a safer, more just and compassionate world.